Hello, this is Introduction to Self-Care in the Modern Era, something like that. And my name is Samir Garadia. Samir, if you will get to know me, as they say. This is a series on various aspects of self-care in the current wartime environment, where you have certain restrictions. Number one, limitations on movement, which may include, you know, um, you know, doctors and things like that. For example, another aspect of that for people of faith is, do you really believe in medical care? We do need to understand science and medicine, but we focus on our faith. Those who prefer self-care or have limited access to other options. Now, as you see, I'm not quite perfected in every aspect yet, but let's just give a little background on myself. Grew up in New York over 20 years, then in the San Francisco Bay Area on the East Bay. Went there for education, and then the last 4 years in Kern County, California, currently in Bakersfield, California. Now, one thing I noticed, I came into Kern County at about 205 pounds. The weight for my height for borderline obesity was 145. I believe that's where it still is, and about 5'7", 5'8". I don't know. And I've lost weight continuously since arriving at Kern County, and I've had, eat a well-balanced diet, etc. Never skip a meal. I did have gallbladder surgery in 2014 in Delano, California, which changed my schedule, both regarding to sleep and eating. Now, the gallbladder is an organ outside the liver. It collects bile, and then when you eat a large meal, it squeezes it into the intestines to digest fats. If the gallbladder is removed, then of course that gall fluid, bile, is continuously dripping into the intestines. So you might consider different sleep cycle, like a more continuous lifestyle, 24/7, getting a couple of hours sleep here and there when you're tired. And the other thing is eating small meals throughout those 24 hours. Kind of like a newborn baby, I guess. On the other hand, beyond that, I came in with prediabetes and several other conditions. And I can tell you prediabetes type 2 is related almost 100% to your weight. So just by losing weight, and I don't go to the gym or anything, but you can see that it's mostly fat and stuff that's come off. Anyway, so there goes your diabetic issues. If you have type 2 diabetes, usually if it's prediabetes and you're an adult, it would be type 2, because type 1 is diabetes from birth. Now, I have monitored the videos, the self-care videos, on various channels, disguising sometimes as something else. So this will be a very specific self-care channel. There are certain issues you should consider. If you've had an active sex life, and I haven't, but if you have, then certainly self-care, is very important. Because you gotta be healthy and so forth. But the other thing is, if you've had surgical procedures like plastic surgery, on the surface of your skin, if there are plastics and so forth. It's very important to the body's ability to breathe through the skin. Um, I don't know, there's been some improvements. All of these scar tissues, I'm going to work on them during the course of this course. You see my hair, I don't know if you see that it's pretty healthy. I've had these kind of salt and pepper look a little bit for quite a while, even before I moved to this area. But the hair itself is quite healthy and shiny, and it's not dry as it once was. But as far as old scar tissues, that's the latest part that I'm working on. Previous to that, it's a process of, the body. Cells are always dying on a daily basis, certainly skin cells and so forth on the surface, but inside, all the way to the depths of your organs and so forth, those cells also die, and so the fluids and the materials, the solids and so forth, they do need to be constantly replaced, so that you really are a new person at the end of the process. So, as for myself, I've cut down on red meats quite a bit without too much effort. I do still eat chicken and fish, a lot more milks. Of course, once you hit about 35, you should gradually increase your milk consumption, which is, regular old-fashioned whole milk is what I prefer, as opposed to non-fat milk or low-fat milk, or certainly powdered milk. I would not recommend. So beyond that, when you begin the process of self-care, you start from the very inside of the intestines, very center, and gradually, without any medical or chemical or any kind of diuretics or anything, you kind of get those whatever might be collected over, really since the day you were born. I don't mean to be, whatever. There are particles that have been collected throughout your body since the day you were born. And there's certain basic concepts. We'll move on to the next topic, which is material replacement, whether fluids or solids or something in between. I don't know. The point here is that the body needs to stay at a constant saline level. That's a salt level, the percentage of salt in the body. If you've used contact lenses, you know about saline solution. It's at a certain salt level, which is 0.9% of the water. Your body's mostly a lot of water. 0.9% of that is salt. So plain water will actually dry out your skin and so forth on the surface. Salt water, but it has to be exactly saline. Now imagine a circumstance where that the intake and so forth is threatens that saline level. Then what you start to see is these your body feels highly pressurized. It might be even painful for some time, but you'll see these particles that are stuck to solid areas of the body, like cell membranes, toxins, other things. Could be quite old. So you add new such toxins. One toxin being isopropyl alcohol, which is rubbing alcohol. It's also the kind of alcohol that traditionally used in hospitals. Now, the problem with isopropyl alcohols, as opposed to drinking alcohols, is that the body is unable to process isopropyl alcohols. Anything that the body is unable to process, as in digest and incorporate, and then it just sticks to places like cell membranes and so forth, and away from the water liquids like the cell fluid. So you do have to add more isopropyl, that's a rubbing alcohol, to the surface. Occasionally do a wash, and that'll force internal isopropyl alcohols out of those cell membranes and so forth. So that's, the concept there is salting out. So whatever toxins that are in the body, the old ones will stay there in those solid areas, away from, where the saline balance is kept. And you add more of those, then the old ones are pressurized, kind of an osmosis or reverse osmosis process. So that's called salting out. So I've given you 3 or 4 concepts there. My name is Samir Guradia. You can also catch me on my music channel here on YouTube and so forth, for a varied lifestyle. And welcome. So I'll be constantly putting up videos on self-care, and also some, I've got quite a few music videos of teaching myself piano over the last month or so, but we'll add to the instrumentation there. So you will, in this video series, to illustrate, you will see, my body as I heal different areas. Now, I do have certain wounds. Now, actually, these are old. I'm told these are old infections or cysts or whatever. And from could go back to the day you were born, down to the bone or whatever. And these tend to come up after a certain stage. So you'll see them. You say, where do you get those from? Well, they could have been inside. Now, the thing about flesh, and on the surface it's epidermis, below that dermis, but just flesh, is that it just comes up to the surface, and then, the surface skin is, of course, dead flesh or epidermis. And as I said, if you have too many products or plastics or so forth on that, then it has no way to release itself. But the other aspect of the skin itself is important, that it be able to breathe through the pores of the skin. So you have the pores of the skin completely covered, then the skin is unable to breathe any gases like carbon dioxide and so forth, or any other kind of gases that the body wants to release, and that it produces on a constant basis. So I'm going to show you some of these wounds on a daily basis. We'll see how they have been monitoring them and working on them. So some of them are always going to be there, like scars and stuff. I'm going to work on see if we can get rid of old scars as well. So I don't know what you can see. See the legs, a lot of these old wounds. Here's a surgery on the legs, the other leg. And you see these in surface. You see these healing. Of course, skin tissue or surface tissues, and like all, they regrow one layer at a time. And if you see them not growing back properly on the surface, then you just have to kind of slow down the process and let it. You see this area is a little dark, and that means it's a little bruised on those scars. And the white stuff there, there might be calcium powders, because over there it's right on the bone. And again, I recommend milk, whole milk, rather than any kind of powdered milk or alternative. But anyway, so that's the start, and again, welcome.